Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Police report that Karen Samuel, the apparent host of an unlawful gathering that took place on the evening of Sunday, the 14th of March, did not comply with the lawful directives to shut down and was arrested. She was formally charged on Monday, the 15th of March 2021, and appeared before a magistrate on Tuesday, the 16th of March, where she was granted bail in the sum of $500 cash or suitable surety. Samuel is employed as a special police constable within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The police force says everyone, regardless of profession or other affiliation, is subject to prosecution for failing to comply with the laws. Meanwhile, on Saturday, the 13th of March, officers attached to the Choiseul police station responded to a report of a possible COVID-19 protocol breach at Victoria Choiseul, where a mass crowd activity was ongoing. Information was relayed to officers that a cockfight was in progress. Myron Joseph, a resident of Victoria Choiseul, was later charged for hosting a mass crowd gathering and was bailed on his own recognizance to appear before the court on the 26th of April 2021. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force thanks members of the public for continuing to report people and establishments found in breach of the law. Police urge adherence to all COVID-19 protocols. Following clashes between law enforcement and citizens over curfew violation, some members of the public have sought to justify the actions of the citizens involved. What on the ground is that citizens are frustrated with the prolonged curfews which they have had to endure throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Accountant and social commentator Richard Peterkin says that while lawlessness cannot be condoned, there may be another way to deal with this issue.
Prolonged curfews, suspensions of liquor licenses, and social distancing have all taken its toll on humankind as the world continues to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Closer to home, some citizens have chosen to vent their frustrations in unlawful ways, breaking curfews and even assaulting others. For social commentator Richard Peterkin, COVID-19 has taken its toll on all of us. But there is a clear difference between making one's concerns heard and taking the law into one's own hands. Peterkin says that while he understands the frustrations of some, there is no forgiving what transpired in Soufriere and Grosley when residents clashed with police.
We have situations in the history of the Caribbean where large numbers of people, if you remember, threw bottles during a cricket match, because they were upset about an umpire's decision. And it shows you what happens when large numbers of people get together in a situation and their emotions get the better of them. And so clearly this is an emotional response. And what we need to have more than anything else perhaps is empathy, not sympathy, because you can't sympathize with people that break the law, but empathy as to, all right, we understand that there are certain, it's been a long year. A lot of people who perhaps may have made their living in Grosley Lane in particular, by doing things at night for visiting tourists and so on, are now finding themselves constrained with no immediate end in sight.
For Peterkin, communication is critical in incidents like these, and there needs to be a mediator who understands all sides.
It's not the politicians or the church leaders or the chamber people or people like myself that is going to make a difference to them. It's going to be people on the ground. But they have to understand at the end of the day, there must be a way to channel your frustration and to channel your violence in a more positive way so that people will understand that, okay, maybe there is something that can be done to make your life a little better, but not that. And at the end of the day, everybody has to respect the law and order. If it gets, as I say, intolerable across the board throughout the country, then governments will fall and people will uprise. But we're not that kind of a people. We've had incidents in our years, breaking glass here and there. Even in the House of Parliament, we've had antisocial behavior. None of it should have been condoned. But it is not by our nature to be violent people or revolutionary from that point of view.
Police have condemned the actions of the individuals involved in the two instances, as well as made arrests. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Schools are slated to reopen for the third academic term after Easter. Education Minister Dr. Gail Rigobert says the ministry is confident that this time around things will be different. She says at this point consultations continue with stakeholders to ensure that everything is in place for a proper and safe reopening of schools.
On March 11th, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet informed the public that schools would be reopening in April following the Easter holidays. Although no definitive date has been given, many students and teachers have indicated that while skeptical, they are preparing for the return to physical schools. Minister with responsibility for education, Dr. Gail Rigobert, on Tuesday explained that the ministry is doing all possible to ensure a safer reopening of school this time around.
We are in the process of putting things in order to ensure that we can reopen schools safely after the Easter break. We remain in communication with the Ministry of Health and other agencies to ensure that indeed we can reopen. But the plan is to reopen, and we are taking the necessary measures and having the necessary engagements to ensure that all players are on the same page.
The National Association for Early Childhood Practitioners have been clamoring for the Ministry of Education to pay attention to the sector and put things in place to cushion the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the early childhood development sector. Dr. Rigobert says consideration is being given to the sector.
The dialogue remains a very tight one, very intimate one, to ensure that all players are well advised. With respect to the concessions that we have been able to make, so whether it's, we're talking about tax breaks or duty-free concessions, whatever it is, that will give careful consideration to those and allow them some leeway, so to speak, some latitude, give them a bly, like we would say.
As students and teachers await an official date for the reopening of the third academic term, confirmation is also being sought on what will be done different this time around to ensure there isn't a repeat of the last term. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Prime Minister Alan Chastanet is answering questions about his decision to release important information of national concern on a private radio station rather than the Government Information Service, GIS.
On Thursday, March 11th, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet announced amendments to the National COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill, which included the change in curfew times from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. The unconventional method of dissemination of this information raised eyebrows since the PM chose to broadcast this information on Sky FM, which has been branded a United Workers' Party station, as it boasts a roster which consists mainly of shows hosted by UWP supporters and members. On Tuesday morning, Prime Minister Chastanet was asked for the reason behind his decision as opposed to him using the Government Information Service station. He stated that there was no bad intentions behind the decision.
We did it at the NEMAC meeting, and then there was a statement that was put out. So it was just really an amendment of the protocols, and there was no particular reason. I wasn't trying to diss anybody. But again, I say to all of the media houses, if you feel I'm avoiding you in any way, please invite me. I'm always willing to come on anybody's show.
The new protocols stipulated in the amended bill take effect on Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Meanwhile, the deputy leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party is not standing for the decision taken by Prime Minister Alan Chastanet to divulge information of national importance on the privately owned radio station.
Whilst Prime Minister Alan Chastanet has explained that his recent decision to use the privately owned Sky FM radio station to announce the most recent amendments to the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill, stating that it was not his intention to offend any media house, the deputy leader of the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, has condemned the move. Dr. Hilaire said the PM's actions are now becoming shocking. The radio station has been labelled as a United Workers' Party outlet, and according to Dr. Hilaire, the information only reached a limited amount of the population.
It's been characteristic of this government and this Prime Minister to show no regard for the official channels and processes of government. It has been repeated time and time again. And for now, one expected to get official updates from the command center, or certainly from addresses to the nation. And I was really surprised to hear that the announcement was made on a UWP radio station through one of their talk shows. Certainly, one expects the Prime Minister to respect and to at least let people know that official source is command center, address to the nation.
Dr. Hilaire said such divisive actions will leave the people ignorant of what is happening all around them.
When now you make official updates on a talk show on a UWP radio station, when Solutions start hearing things circulating all over, they lost. There was a time when we knew if you wanted official information, you listen to RSL. That's what we knew growing up. And certainly if you know official statements is from the command center and an address to the nation, what you doing now? And then you'll be concerned about people spreading rumors and misinformation because they are the cause of it in the first place.
The announcement was made by the PM on Thursday, March 11th. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We'll be right back.